Good morning, everyone. This is Christine Peckstein with Move Into Action, and welcome to this episode, number 73 of The Gift of Gab. Today we are talking about our circle of influence. And quickly, though, I do want to apologize for the technical difficulties we had. We could not load our audio, the musical portion, our intro this morning that brings us into the show. So if it sounds different, if it sounds like we've forgotten something, we haven't forgotten anything. Just despite the technical difficulties that we've encountered for this episode, we've decided the show must go on, and we're going to go on without it. So, being that it is a little bit different, we're going to carry on and talk about our circles of influence, because that's what today's show topic is about. It's what the coaching and training at Solma this next week is going to be on. And the reason that we're covering our circle of influence is because we want to take a look at a couple of things. What is it? And who is it? And why does it matter that I would have a circle of influence in my life? Well, let's break it down. What is it? It's a small group of positive people. That's what your circle of influence is. That's what it should be. It's a small group of positive people. Those positive people make up a handful of people in your life that are positive, helpful, inspiring, and they're growth-oriented individuals who tend to bring out the best in you. So if I was asked to define what the ideal circle of influence that would be around each one of us, and we get to pick the people that are in our circles of influence sometimes, we will find, though, as we go through this, that we don't always get to pick those people. We will have people that are around us that want to influence us, but we have to determine whether or not their influence is something that should be allowed in, should be kept in, or whether we need to clean it out, because not all influence is good influence. So we're looking at this definition: the positive, helpful, inspiring, growth-oriented individuals who bring out the best in you, that help refine you. They help mold you. They help grow you. They help shape you. Those are the kinds of people that you want to find in your circle of influence. They're going to act much like mentors. Mentors are a good thing. We all need mentors. We all need people to help influence us in those types of ways. Why? Because we need to learn from them. There are things that we don't know until we learn it from other people. Now, we can learn things from other people, and we can implement those things into our lives so that we can become more like them. But sometimes our mentors help show us things that are going on in our lives and our attitudes and in how we're living that we don't even know because we don't see them. But they can point them out to us, and maybe they're good things, and they can confirm those things as being good, and we can continue to grow and develop in those areas. Or our mentors can be important for standing on the outside, but looking in and saying, maybe that's not such a good characteristic, or that is a quality that it should concern you a little bit. And we need those people who have enough backbone and honesty in our lives to say when they are in our circle of influence, because we don't just listen to anybody. Not everyone has permission to speak into our lives like that. And we have to understand we don't have permission to speak into everybody's life like that. Those people will invite us in if we are indeed in their circle of influence. So those are all things we have to remember. This is what makes mentors important to us. We can learn from them, but we can also learn from them things that are already going on in our lives and things about us that maybe we need to look twice at. Maybe there are some adjustments that need to be made. And those are the people that we give permission to come into our life to say, hey, I've noticed this. Maybe this is something that you should take a look at. We give them permission to speak into our lives, to help us identify those types of traits and characteristics and those life areas so that we can work on it. So those are the two reasons right there that mentors are so important to us. And having a circle of influence makes sure that we have a circle around us that's full of mentors that can help us do these things. That's why it's important. And those are the types of people who should be in it. Okay, so Now, where do we find these people? Because that is a big question that I'm asked all the time. Well, Christine, where would I find people that would be good for me to have in my circle of influence? Where will I know them from? Because if you don't have any in your life, I'm going to give you some places where you might actually find them. They are people, first of all, that you'll know personally. They might be people that you know professionally. Now, we think of knowing people personally and professionally as we know them in person. We've met them face to face. We've maybe, we shook their hand. There are people that we've actually met face to face. We know them. We've spoken to them. And yes, that is true. But there are also times when you're going to have people that are in your circle of influence, and you need both kind, those that you've never met personally, because maybe we've not been anywhere where we could meet them personally, but we know of them or we know about them, and maybe they are an author, maybe they have a blog, maybe they've got books out that we've read, and we can relate to them and we learn from them, and we allow them then to speak into our lives through those types of social media outlets or those types of materials and things, or they have videos out that we can watch. It could be a podcast like this where you are picking, you're selecting who it is that you are allowing to speak into your life personally, professionally, in those types of areas. So they can be people that you've never met, absolutely. But you also want to have some that you do know, because there is something about the face-to-face, that personal relationship, that personal conversation, the opportunity to speak and to listen, to ask specific questions. Those things are priceless. So we need to have both. You can absolutely have them both too. Okay, so some places that you might meet people that are influential to you in those ways because they're positive people like that. Sometimes you meet them in schools. You'll meet them at a university. It could be a teacher. It could be a professor. It could be somebody in an administrative position. Sometimes we find that it's coaches and janitors who have some of the best life experiences to share with us. So it's not based on clout. It's not based on title. It's not based on where you went to school or what kind of education that you've had necessarily, or that a person that you let speak into your life has had. So we don't want to judge a book by its cover, but it could be found in a multitude of places, people that have these qualities, schools, churches, businesses. Of course, we know business leaders that have a lot of common sense and just wisdom and experience that they can speak into our lives, and we can learn and grow from them. There are also a lot of people in businesses that are absolute morons, and we would not want to give them the time of day, our time or our attention to listen to them, because they're not good influences. And that's what I mean by making sure that we're not judging a book by its cover. Just because something looks good doesn't mean that underneath it is good. And because something may look questionable on the outside doesn't mean that it's rotten to the core. It could be one of the best pieces of wisdom that you'll find. It just initially didn't look like it. And it could be also found in businesses and associations, because those are places where people tend to gather that we can learn from. So now that we've gone through that, we want to look at the qualities of the people that you should surround yourself with, because qualities are important. I want to stress here, it is not the quantity of mentors and people in your circle of influence that makes a difference in your life. It's not the number. It's the quality of the people that you allow to speak into your life. So we have to understand that first and foremost. We want people of the highest integrity when they are allowed to lead us, when they are allowed to speak to us. And I say allowed, because we should be very discerning and we should be very cautious in who it is that we are listening to and who we are learning from and who it is that leads us, because we lead other people whether we realize it or not. If you are a parent, you are leading your children. If you are married, you could be leading your spouse. Hopefully you guys are on the same team and you're working together. You're complementing one another, not competing with one another, but you are leading each other at various times due to your different strengths and weaknesses that complement one another in your relationship, in your marriage. So if you don't think that you're leading somebody, I want you to throw that out, because that is not true. You are leading people, whether or not you know it, whether you want to admit it or not. If it scares you now, it's okay, because you are leading someone. So we need to be very discerning about the types of people that we allow to speak into our lives. We need to make sure that they are people of integrity. They need characteristics like this. I'm going to run down a list. We need people with integrity that are honest, that are hardworking, that are straightforward, that are tough loving, that will tell us when something's not right or something needs to be changed, and we allow them to speak into our lives. They need to have the nerve or to do that, to have backbone, and to speak into our lives when necessary. So tough love is important. We need people, again, that will be straight up with us. They won't beat around the bush and waste their time. They're going to be straight up. We need people that are respectful when they're straight up. And when they are tough loving, they're respectful about it. They're not condescending, but they respect us. We need people who speak into our lives that are interesting, that are willing. They want to be there. They don't have to be there. They want to be there. We want people that are accountable. We want people that are responsible. We want people that are authentic, realistic, creative, hopeful, and persistent. Those are the types of people, those are just a few of the characteristics that we would want to have in the mentors and in our circle of influence. The characteristics that those people need to have are these. So, something I want to stress also, though, is that we need to make sure that we're not striving to find something or someone that does not exist. Because if we're looking for people that are perfect, we will not find them. We will maybe critically disappoint those that we allow into our lives, but then we say, I really don't want you here anymore because you screwed up, you made a mistake. People aren't perfect. We're not perfect. We should know that. So we cannot expect perfection, because that is even setting not just ourselves up for disappointment and hurt and heartache, but those that we allow in too, because then all of a sudden we're telling them, well, now you can't meet my expectations. I no longer have a value or a need for you. And we need to be careful and guard ourselves so that we don't do that. Now, I want to say this also. We need to beware of people who hide their mistakes, their misfortunes. We need to be cautious of people that hide their pain and their heartache because they feel that they can't be real. They're not being authentic. And maybe that's a sign of an ego issue that should be checked. That would make us cautious. That would make us cautious about letting that person come into our circle of influence, because if they are a person of that much ego, of that much pride, afraid of downfall, that they have to be perfect, it may not be the person of influence that you need around you, because that will rub off on you in the wrong way, and it could be hurtful to you as well. So ego is a trap door that most often leads to downfall. And we need to be very careful of that when we are allowing people to be our circle of influence. When we say, I'm allowing you to come in, we need to make sure that we are aware and that we will beware of people who hide mistakes and things of that nature because their ego is too proud. It will lead to their downfall. It's a trap door, and you don't want to be standing on that trap door when they fall. So we need to be careful and guard ourselves against that. Now, who do you think of when I say, who's your circle of influence? You've got to have a couple of people come to mind. And if not, don't sweat it. Grab a cup of coffee and go and have your think drink. If you are a student over at Solma, at my School of Life Management Academy, then you understand what a think drink is, and you'll know what to do with the rest of this show. Because over there at Solma, I also have your assignments and the things that are going to come with this, because for the next month, we are learning about relationships, and this is 1 week's session. our circle of influence, and that's what we are studying this month. So if you're not a member of Solma and you want to attend and you'd like to join us in these monthly classes, go to moveintoaction.com, and I have the information there. If you click on a link at the top of the page called Attend Solma, you will find the information that you need there, and you can get the further coaching and training that you'll need in order to take this and your action plan and put it into motion and work it into your life today. All right, so let's continue on. Do you have a circle of influence? Do you even think that you have a circle of influence? Well, you do, because we all have people that influence us either positively or negatively. Think about it. You have people right now, today. You've always had people that are either influencing you in a positive manner or in a negative manner. Now remember, it's not the quantity of people that you have in your circle of influence, it is the quality of the people. We want people that influence us in the positive ways, the ways that will spur us to grow and to change. People that are negative influences will cause us to die, to wither, to lose our self-esteem, to quit, give up. And they won't spur us to do our best. So we need to be cautious of that we know the difference of those qualities. See, quality is a reflection of their value. When you're looking at your circle of influence and the people that are in it, the quality of a person is a reflection of their value in your life. It's their value in terms of their desirable qualities, their experiences, their willingness to help. Not just individuals themselves, but to help others. Those are the types of people that we find the most value within. So it's not that you have a circle of influence that is of value in a monetary sense. It could be that you have some individuals in your circle of influence that are loaded. That's fine. But that's not what you're looking for. It's not the quantity of anything that anybody has or how much you have. It is the quantity. What is within those people? What value is there in their life experiences, in their willingness to show up, in their willingness to help others? That's what you're looking for. That is a value that you cannot put a price on. There is nothing more priceless than finding someone who is willing to mentor, who is willing to lead, who is willing to be a positive influence on other people. So we have to make sure that we understand that. Then we need to also make sure that we're asking ourselves important questions when we think about those people who do influence us. Ask important questions. This is one of them. Can I learn from this individual? What am I learning from them? Am I learning good things, or am I learning and picking up bad things? Am I learning bad habits? Am I learning good habits? What is it that this person reflects into my life? Because it's like light. We absorb light and it's reflected back out. Well, if we are absorbing bad things, then that's likely what we're reflecting back out. It's bad things. It's bad energy. It's negativity. And then it is being caught by other people. They're absorbing our negative energy and they're reflecting that. We need to be positive. So we absorb the good, we absorb the positive, and we start reflecting that back out as lights of hope in a very dark world. That's the type of light that we want to be. It's a positive energy. It's a good energy. It spurs things to life. That's what we should strive to be and to be influenced by. So we can say, is this person irritating? Are they dishonest? Are they corrupt? Are they unwilling to lead? Are they unwilling to teach? Are they only in stuff just because they get things out of it and it's good for them? They're just absorbers. They're not sharers. Are they harsh? Are they abrasive? Are they abusive? Those would be negative qualities that we would want to stay away from. When we ask that question, what am I learning from this individual? How do they influence me? And how does that influence shape me? How is it molding me? So we can learn from others because they teach us much about what it's like to be impacted by someone who acts that way. If somebody's a negative influence in your life, you can learn a lot from them actually by saying, I want to make sure that I'm never a negative influence like that because I know what it feels like. I want to make sure that I don't step on somebody's toes like that because I know what it feels like. So they can teach us things, but we don't want to learn their specific habits and the hurtful things and then start carrying those out. What we want to learn is that this is an area that I don't want to end up acting like this. I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be corrupted. So then we create positive boundaries that prevents that from happening. We spend less time with those types of influences and those people because they're not a good influence on us. We do not want to be around them to the point where we are then being affected negatively by them. So we need to take care of that end of it to make sure that what we're learning is how to create boundaries so that we don't start doing that, because that's not what we want to be as we influence others. Because here's the other part. Guess what? You are influencing somebody even right now, today. Your actions, your attitude, your behaviors, the way you smile, the way you carry yourself, the way you work, the way that you interact with others, you are influencing someone. So when you influence someone, you need to look at your own behaviors and your own ways of doing things to make sure that you're influencing people in a positive manner. And if you're not, and if you have a person of influence in your life that brings it up and says, I don't know if what you're doing is a good influence on other people, or I don't know that this is a good trait, this might be something that we need to look at. When that person is bold enough and they're in your circle of influence and have that permission to speak into your life like that, then you can start looking at your own life and your own life areas, which is important because we never want to focus our time and energy on other people in that manner to where we're judging other people. We're looking at them. We see everything about other people that's wrong with them that needs to be changed. We need to spend the bulk of our time looking at us. Now, sure, we need to make sure that we're not allowing people to influence us in negative ways, that we're not surrounded by negative people, that our circle of influence is good, is positive, and is fruitful in our lives. But we need to look at ourselves more so and dig deep to say, where is it in my life that I may not be a good influence? What are people learning from me? What do my actions, what do my thoughts, what is it about me that is leading others? And how do I influence them? So that is the other side of it. So that's what this segment is about. Now, over in Solma, we will dig into this much, much deeper because I've got the action plans and everything ready to go for the month of June. So I want you to think about these things. Who is it that is influencing you and in what ways? And do you need to clean out your circle of influence? Do you need to look in places to maybe find better influencers that can come into your life? And so that they can become part of that trusted circle. The other thing is I want you should look at yourself and say, how am I influencing others? Because that is equally important. What I don't want you to do is to be indifferent. Because being indifferent and how you influence people or how you care about how people influence you is not a healthy place to be. It's being neither. And so when you're indifferent, you really don't care whether you're influencing others or others are influencing you. And that's not a good place to be because you're not being an influence at all. And if we're not influencing somebody, then it's likely that we're just simply existing. And it's almost as if we live in a void. We're not really changing. We're just kind of going through the motions. And that can be a very lonely and sad place to be. And if that's the case, we need to think about the reasons why we would be in such a neutral environment and maybe think about ways that we could get around people that would influence us and inspire us to really care, to really dig into the life that we've been given, the blessings around us, and see them as such, and then learn to share that with other people. Because we can be influenced, and we can use that influence for good, and we can influence others. That's the show today. I'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend.